Y muy buenas tardes a todos y todas ustedes. Este es su programa Líderes del Futuro. Good afternoon to all of you. This is your show, Líderes del Futuro. And again, we're going to do this version in English and then we're going to do it in Spanish. And this afternoon, I have the privilege and opportunity to have a few students from the community and an advisor. And so we have Manny Morales here. And Manny, can you tell us what your involvement and what are we talking about today?
Yeah, so the topic for tonight, we're going to be focusing on a proposed cannabis dispensary at the former RUP campus on Sebastopol Road, 100 Sebastopol Road. This is a project that was introduced to the Planning Commission. A private company is proposing building a multi-use, multi-purpose facility at the former Roseland University Prep campus that, although it sits vacant, it still holds value to a large portion of our community, um, especially in the Roseland community. And the information that we were able to get that was presented to the students that were present for the Latino Student Congress, the Latinx Student Congress gathering this past month, informed us of this process. And what came out of the conversation was the fact that this company and this entity had done very little to inform the community on what was happening, which became a big concern for our students, for our youth, many of them who still reside in the area, um, constantly pass through in front of the former RUP campus. Um, and it also includes many extended family, and community members that are former RUP members or alumni, I'm sorry, of this school. And so when this information was then brought back to the students' homes, and students began to inquire and ask their parents if they were informed that this decision was being made by the city to allow this company to build this multi-purpose facility, multi-use facility that would allow them to set up as a dispensary, to distribute, to deliver, to manufacture, to grow, and to extract on site. This became a big issue for our community. We found that, or the youth found that many of the families had not been properly informed that this was going to happen, that this is how this former educational space was going to be repurposed. And so the conversation then became about raising awareness in the community. It became about informing our community that this decision was in the process of being made, starting with the Planning Commission's meeting, the public hearing meeting, where they would approve the the multi-purpose um, permit for this location. And from there, considering that this meeting had originally been postponed from a week prior due to the fact that they didn't have translation services for our Spanish-speaking community, this gave us enough time, just enough time to get enough support and turnout for the public hearing, where many of the young students, including some of the students that are present here today, were able to speak on the issue. We're also able to get other adults from the community members and organizers to come in and speak on the issue, as well as former students from RUP who that became their center of education. That became the school that they attended, and also saw that this was not in the convenience of the community to open up this dispensary. And what made matters worse is that for a long time now, the community of Roseland has been demanding that one, we'd have access to a public library, a multicultural center, a community center, a daycare center, And there's been inquiries into using this location specifically to build something community oriented. And to this day, the city of Santa Rosa has not followed through with promises that were made when the annexation of Roseland happened. And now they're in the process of approving a private company that's going to come in and benefit from the community of Roseland, directly capitalize on the cannabis consumption of Roseland. The conversation with the youth and in general around this proposed idea is not is not around the use of cannabis or the benefit of having uh, cannabis dispensaries. It's more so around the use of this location, specifically this location, and we found through our outreach efforts that our community rejects the use of this facility, this location, this property for that, and instead continue to demand access to a public library, the building of a cultural center, a multicultural center, or a community center, or to serve another purpose that would benefit the community rather than capitalize, further marginalize, and even um, take over the community in this way to gentrify the community, to be more specific.
And with that, I would like to bring Veronica Jaramillo to the conversation. It is important that we understand how the youth specifically are feeling about this situation. Veronica, if you can give us your opinion about why is it that this institution or this business, I should say, right, should not be placed in a location where a school used to be.
Thanks for including me. One of the main reasons is that this location was previously a high school who was really important to educate the youth and give opportunities. And as youth, I feel like we should keep on using this location to give opportunities, such as a library gives opportunities for students to get resources, because in our community, we don't have a local library like other communities in Santa Rosa. In addition, it could also be a community and culture center, such as what Manny said. It's important because the people in Roseland community have been wanting these two options, and it's just settling having a dispensary without anyone's input, especially since many living near Sebastopol Road were not informed about this before or directly by the person who wanted to do this. And in addition, like around Roseland, many young children live there and walk past by there, and it would be more resourceful to walk past and maybe even enter in a library and a culture center than walking every day past a dispensary. And in addition, there could be some like negative outcomes of having this dispensary in this area, such as like those families and children who live near there could possibly have like bad interactions with the people coming out of the dispensary, such as how they stated in the meeting, they're able to consume in the building. So coming out, there could probably be some dangerous outcomes with those people, especially those who might come in cars, because there's parking lots and there's already a ton of traffic near that intersection in Sebastopol. In addition, if we let this pass, it could be shown as an example for outsiders who want their private businesses that they're able to do this since somebody already did this. And this shows that people here in Roseland don't have a voice. So it might seem to them, oh, it's easy because this private company did this. We are able to do this because the people's voices did not stop them as much.
Definitely. And so from your, before I move on to Jocelyn, what I also was wondering is, I'm sure you've had this conversation about what do other students in your school over in the Roseland area feel about, how do they feel about this proposed cannabis dispensary? What can you tell me? What is it that the students are sharing with you? What is it that your friends and classmates are sharing with you about this proposed facility?
Many students who live near there have told me and reacted surprised when I informed them about this dispensary, because they were not informed until I told them. In addition, many students, former students and teachers too, feel surprised that this location that was used to educate our community is used for a dispensary rather than keep on helping the community. In addition, many feel like no one really asked for a dispensary, rather they wanted a culture center, because a lot of students in my high school, we want to be more embedded into our culture and other cultures around the world.
It is important then that one of the things that Manny mentioned and you mentioned is that nobody asked you, right? And it's once again, it seems like a business is coming in and trying to tell you what you should want. And I was listening during the meeting that evening when the commission was, or the committee was trying to determine whether or not this is something that was needed in the Roseland area. And someone said, why is it that they don't open this type of businesses out there in Fountain Grove, where the wealthy individuals in Santa Rosa live? And it was interesting because there's suddenly such silence, right? You're not going to have that over where the uber wealthy of Sonoma County live, but you're going to put this type of facility in a low-income area of the community. Where we already see a lot of police activity in general on a regular basis. Now, Jocelyn Toscano represents Santa Rosa Junior College Mecha. Jocelyn, from your perspective, you don't live in the Roseland area yourself, and you go to college far away from the Roseland air community. Why is it that Mecha, the SRJC, is involved in this conversation?
Thank you. For us, we are involved in the conversation because we're looking at the root of the problem, where it affects mainly as the children and the teenagers who do live in the area, who will at one point potentially be Santa Rosa Junior College students, or will at one point or another have siblings who go to the college as well. And so we're looking at more of the psychological issues that happen to children early on in their development, whether it be during pregnancy or especially in the teenage years, which is where a lot of students, as we mentioned, there's elementary school students, middle school students, and high school students that walk by that area quite often. And one of the things that we mentioned in that meeting was the secondhand purchasing of cannabis products that can, even though the person is of legal age and has the medical card to buy that, just like secondhand alcohol purchasing, teenagers can buy that off of those adults who can do that. And so one of the few things that we have researched, and the impact is that during the teenage years, most of us know there's like the gray matter on top of a brain and the white matter that makes up the majority of it. And during development, what we've seen is that, well, as research has seen, is that the gray matter decreases and the white matter increases. And what we've seen, especially in teenage years, where this a lot of development, especially in the frontal lobe, is that those connections are usually severed so that stronger ones take place. And with cannabis use in early age, and especially in the teenage years, those connections actually stay, and that impedes a lot of effects for teenagers. Let's see. Teenagers who regularly struggle, who use cannabis regularly or start at an early age, usually struggle with more learning and memory tasks. And then for who are more exposed at a younger age, there are psychotic-like experiences, such as an increased risk of depression and schizophrenia potentially, more increased risk in anxiety behavior. That's also if teenagers, who of course are young and should not be taking this either, take it in the wrong dose, have more anxiety issues as well. They're prone to break more rules. They're prone to more attention problems. And overall, the development of children's brains from teenagehood, from children to teenagehood to adulthood is impaired overall, is what we've seen. And we're trying to prevent that. That's why we don't want this here. Having a cannabis dispensary area in the Roseland area, predominantly Hispanic area, increases this buying, increases the use, and we're trying to not have that happen because it'll eventually filter up into issues later on in adulthood at the Santa Rosa Junior College.
Thank you for that information. Again, the research is new, and there's still a lot of new research coming up. I know that I had a conversation years ago here with a psychiatrist, and the conversation was exactly about that, the increase in children or youth who use marijuana are more prone to schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and again, depression to a level that eventually they may need medication in order to survive, unfortunately. And again, people are not talking about that. And then a side effect of a lot of these other pieces is now there was just a new report, especially in California, of people who walk out the street and go out there to walk their dogs, and their dogs are now consuming cannabis because people throw away edibles all over the place. So somebody could argue, what happens when somebody drops a piece or a whole edible outside this facility in the future, and 6-year-old, a 7-year-old walking home, ends up picking it up and consuming it because they taste like regular gummy bears and they taste like all of these other candies. What is the chance that this could have happened? And so it's important that you all are having these conversations, and that it's important that you're here to tell us about the chances that individuals can overdose, especially children, as a result of consuming this type of products. And so thank you for taking the time and doing this. Now, Veronica, if you could provide some information for us as we move to what are the next steps, and that is, what is it that the community can do if they want to support what you all are doing today?
The community can take simple steps. You could either email your local representatives, such as E. Alvarez at srcity.org, and then J. Sawyer, and many more. When you're going to email them, please provide your name and say you're talking about the future of the 100 Sebastopol Road, and add your comments. Preferably discuss an alternative way, such as a library or community center or a culture center. There's also a petition that you could sign. And the RUP Mecha's Instagram, the bio's there. You just add your name and sign the petition and tell others to do these steps, and just inform others about this, because around our community, not many know, and they should know about this plan and how to take their action.
Definitely. And again, it's important. You can also go to my Facebook page, DACA Sonoma County. You can go to the Facebook page of Mecha de SRJC, where this petition has been shared, and anyone and everyone can access it. Manny, if somebody is interested, Emmanuel Morales, if somebody is interested in supporting again, but maybe they don't have a way to sign it online because maybe they don't have Instagram, maybe they don't have Facebook, maybe they don't have access to a computer, what can people do in order to be able to make this happen?
Yeah, so the petition is being circulated online. This is a change.org petition. But we're gonna work to make the petition accessible to our community that may not have online access to the petition or internet access altogether. We'll work to make it accessible, and hopefully in the near future you can find us, as well as many of the other collaborators and allies on this cause, out on Sebastopol Road in the Roseland community, gaining more support, informing our community. I think that ongoing effort to inform is going to be really important. This private entity did the minimal that was required, the minimum that was required through the planning commission's policy. to get their outreach out, essentially within 600 feet of the vicinity of this location. And we feel that that one is not representative of the entire community of Roseland. It's the Roseland community is much larger than 600 feet radius of that location. And two, even within that the 600 feet, there is housing that still lack that outreach, that we're still not informed that this was going on. And that was obvious in the public hearing when a parent spoke who lives directly next door on Timothy Road, next door to the former RUP, who said she never received any information. So they did a lackluster job at informing the community, and we're here to fill that void, to inform our community and instead push the demands of the community, which is something more community oriented. Um, Aside from that, if you're able to email me, M Morales, that's Morales at northbayop.org. You can feel free to email me if you have access to email to inquire about it. If you feel like you want to call me, it's 707-336-2161. And I can direct you to that information. Also, some of the information is being distributed on the Latinx Student Congress Instagram. That's at Latinx Student Congress on Instagram.
Thank you for that. And thank you again, Veronica, for taking the time. Thank you, Jocelyn, for taking the time. It is important that the community come together. It's important that the marginalized communities come together and they support each other when big business are coming in and again, doing what they're trying to do right now. The latest information that we have is that an appeal was submitted to the city council. And as a result of that, this facility will not move forward at this moment until there is a hearing. We're hearing from the city of Santa Rosa that this may not happen until December. So it appears that there is time for the community to organize, to do outreach, to collaborate, and prepare for that hearing. And with that, I want to thank you all for taking the time. And again, you feel free to come back and give us an update from time to time about what is going on. Thank you all.